Well, you know, it's interesting. Their own kids couldn't wait to get out. My mother's generation, her older brother and my grandparents had sent him off to UVM to get a degree in agriculture, to come back here, and he said, well, this is the last place. If he was going to farm, wasn't going to do it here, where it was hard and rocky and side hill, and it's a tough place to make a living, you know. That was their only son. I was one grandchild out of quite a few that had an interest in this place. So I feel very fortunate to be here and have a son who's got that same bug, you know. I'm Larry Shepard and lived in Vermont all my life to this point so far, and as Sue would tell you, it's a hard thing to get me out of Vermont, actually. Pretty rooted here. I often look out at that field, which I know my ancestors mowed by hand. And that's one reason why we're rebuilding this barn is you can't appreciate a structure until you've worked in it as hard as you know that other people have worked in it. Until you've watched the sun come up through the barn door that you know your grandfather watched the sun come up through, and it's powerful. It locks you in. And I've always tried to do things so that I would live up to that higher standard that somebody else lived up to. There was a point in my life where I was driven way too much by trying to bring the farm back. That was really hard because we had young children and not a lot of income and a lot of expense, but I had to go through that, I guess, and had to realize that this is now, that was then. Can't live in the past. You can't try to do things the way it was done before. Do the best you can, I guess. I can see that happening to my son. Sitting here at 56, I can see that tendency in him to try to make it better, to make money, and somewhere you gotta meet a happy medium where you can enjoy your life and not be just tied to the work. I think all farmers have to deal with that.
It's rocky pasture, and it's, you know, we get snow before anybody. You know, it's like a different climate thing, and I think you got to be smart about. So, what can this support, and be inventive or imaginative, and kind of not just do it because that's what your parents and your grandparents did.
In the days when it was all farming, they used to do a lot of stuff cooperatively too. And I think that's been lost. That, you know, we'll cut my corn and then we'll come over and cut yours, and then we'll cut the neighbors, and that's definitely gone. Because the community it's a bedroom community, not a live-in community. Keep Mountain View Farm, and in the family, I think it takes somebody wanting to live, you know, here and take on the responsibilities of trying to farm. And
just really surprised that he wanted to come back here and live. But he traveled and he decided there's no better place than here. You build it yourself, you invest yourself into it. It's meaningful in a way that it isn't when you're finding a house to buy and you move into it ready-made or something, you know. It was another generation that seemed like those roots were really, or those ancestors were really calling to him, and, you know, he wanted to get his feet on the ground and in the ground and get kind of settled here. You name it, we probably had it, grown it, eaten it.
Sit down to a meal and it's all from our labor. It's all those calves that we took good care of to get them up to be adult animals, and yeah, it's a great deal of satisfaction.